This is kind of a weird one, because this isn't the quest for best. This is the post-Geekout reaction, our weekly, regular scheduled movie review show. But this still is going to count for the quest for the best. People who have never seen one of our reviews before has no idea what I'm talking about. Hey everyone, I'm Aaron.
I'm Michelle.
And the post-Geekout reaction is just our regular weekly new movie review show. And this movie, it's brand new this week for 98% of the country. But at the tail end of 2008, this
18.
Yes. This movie showed in one theater in 2008, and they're like, oh my god, people would go insane if we show this to the world. We have to push this back. Throw it back 10 years. I'm sure 2018 will be far more civilized and rational, and everyone will have their shit together by then. We won't be on the verge of collapse. No, but this did come out in theaters in a very small release at the very end of 2008. God damn it! You all know what I'm saying!
Just say last year!
Thank you.
Just say last year!
Thank you. Peach comes running when you laugh.
Yes.
So, that is why it is also going to, at the same time, count as part of our quest for the best, which is where we look at all the best reviewed movies of the previous year. So, I'm kind of killing two birds with one stone on this one. But you did not see this.
No.
Not because you didn't want to, but because it's cold outside and fuck that.
Yes.
It's cold, it's winter, it's New York. We don't want it. I knew I was going to like this because this is by the same guy who did Moonlight, which I freaking love that movie, and I couldn't wait to see their next thing, and this is their next thing, and I was like, oh man, been really looking forward to this. Could you not put it out in summer or something? Or, I don't know, early fall? I'll take anything at this point, but yeah, I braved it. I went out there into the cold, and I sat next to one of the worst movie-going audiences I've ever seen.
Oh no, I hope they didn't ruin the experience.
Not the audience, just the guy next to me.
Oh.
The audience member. Yeah, because the guy next to me during this, I came in there, and there was my seat right next to him, and two empty seats on the other side of him, and he had all of his belongings spread out on all three empty seats. I was like, are you fucking kidding me with this? Like, yes, if no one's sitting there, you can take your stuff, put it in the seat next to you. Across, like, 3 seats. And I come in there and he picks his stuff up. Then, like, right after me, the people sitting on the other side of him come in, just groaning the entire time. And this is like, don't be mad that you didn't buy 4 seats for your jacket. But that, like, he continued to be so annoying throughout the entire movie. And I'll get to talking about the actual movie in a second, but I gotta get this out of my system because it was with me for 2 hours. And if I have anything negative to say about this film, it's probably partly related to this guy. But yeah, he was so annoying that the people who sat on the other side of him, they got up after 5 minutes and just walked to like the front row because that was the only other available seats. So these people would rather sit here than sit next to this dude because he was a rather large fellow. Nothing against larger people, but he was like smothering like both armrests and like I literally was like this and he was still like touching into me.
So he was like taking up more space than he needed to.
He was taking up a decent chunk of seats. And also, he kept heavy breathing throughout the entire movie, and I'm talking like, that was going constantly throughout the film. I was like, all right, it's, you know, he's a larger fellow, not gonna blame him for that. But he kept chewing popcorn with his mouth open too, and he loaded that popcorn up with so much butter, like, you could probably smell it, like, through, like, oh my god,
like,
I was getting...
Oh god, he really is like the stereotypical, like, fat guy.
Fat guy at the movie theater? Yeah.
Yeah,
I weighed 258 pounds when I was like 13 years old. Like, I was a fat person growing up. I kept looking at this guy like, you gave all of us a bad name. Like, I had my stuff together when I was a fat guy, okay? Just... be chill, realize to close your fucking mouth.
Yes, it's okay for...
But I kept like looking at him and was like, it's not his fault that he's this big. It's not, I don't want to judge him for that. And then his fucking cell phone went off.
Oh no.
And he didn't like immediately like, oh, I'm sorry, and like turn that off. He's texting in the middle of this. I was like, what the fuck is wrong with, like, you just hit everything out of the fucking park, you asshole. And they had a phone set up for an alert. And it just started going beep, 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 beep in the middle of the movie. God damn this guy. So if I just had to get that out of my system, I for the longest time have wanted to make a podcast just called The Worst Movie Going Experiences Out There. Because I think everybody can like relate to like, we've all sat next to that asshole at some point in time. Like, God damn, man. Like, I'm not blaming you for, like, you know, you're a larger fellow. I'm not gonna blame you for that, but chew with your fucking mouth closed, turn your cell phone off, turn your phone on, turn your watch alert off. Like, Jesus Christ. Alright, so, sorry. Also, realize that you don't own 4 fucking seats. Okay, we're gonna talk about the movie now. We're gonna talk about the movie now. We're talking about this movie. This is a good movie, everyone. This is a good movie. So what this movie is about it's about this young black couple in the 1970s, Tish and Fonnie. And Tish has recently learned that she's pregnant. But the problem is that Fonnie is in prison for a crime that he did not commit. And this story, like I said, it's by the guy who did Moonlight. And Moonlight used time very effectively because it would tell the story of this young boy, and then it would cut ahead by like 10 years when he was a teenager, then cut ahead by like another 10 years when he's a man. And this one, it does something really interesting with it that I've only seen a couple of films really successfully be able to pull off, which is that it tells basically 2 stories. One is in the present. It's Tish right after she learned that she's pregnant, and the other one is the story starting in the past of like kind of when they started to hook up with each other and form a relationship, all leading up to his arrest. And they intercut between the 2 very well. And like they know exactly when to cut back and forth. Because you never once get, I don't want to say like you never once get too comfortable with something because that makes it sound like you're uncomfortable, but you can never zone out in the film. Like there's no risk of you ever kind of just going like, oh, okay, I kind of know where this is going. Like the moment that you kind of like get to that point, like bam, we go now to the other story. And they position them so well that they are able to build on each other. Like they explain in the beginning when you're in the present, many of the things that have happened, but you keep thinking it's like, well, that means nothing to me. But then you get to that moment and you'll think, oh, okay, now it means something to me, but it will make like a fun, lighthearted moment feel really heavy. Like there is a moment in there in which they say, okay, we know he couldn't have done it. We've got me as a witness and we've also got his other friend. We were having dinner together that night. And then it will, like much later on in the film, it will get to that moment where they're having dinner, and man, they seem like they are just bonding, and it feels so touching, and then you remember in the back of your head, the crime that he is going to be convicted of, that he didn't do, is happening right now somewhere else in this city. It's like, oh God, oh no, oh man. Yeah, it will just weigh on you so heavy in those moments. It does that like coming back and forth like geniusly. But also, you know, in the beginning, you have like no real connection to these people because you don't know anything about them. But as it goes along, like the actual like story of them like getting together, like the story of how much they care about each other, of them like trying to start their lives together. Yeah, it does make you really care about them. But at the same time, like I said, it's kind of brilliant how they did this because there's like the moment in which they're looking at the place where they want to move into and the place that they want to own and start their family, and you know in the back of your head, it's like, that ain't gonna happen because we know what happens, and it makes, again, like a moment that should be really meaningful and really have some weight to it. And, well, I mean, it does have weight to it, but a moment that should be joyful. Moment, but yeah. A moment that should be joyful is instead, like, joyful and tragic at the same time. I want to keep talking about the great examples that, in this film of that, but that'd be spoiling too much. But one of the other things that this writer and director does incredibly well, in fact, in all honesty, maybe even better than any other writer and director out there right now, is that they can make you intimate with characters. They can make it so that you are just sitting there staring at a person and just getting all the emotions on their face. Like, they're not afraid to just hold on a character's face and just let their expression tell the entire story. And then, like, they will have, like, the perfect little musical score come in the background to accentuate any emotions that you're supposed to be feeling in that moment. Because there will be moments in which, you know, this is about a couple that's in love. And there will be moments in which it'll be Tish just staring out at the audience. Like, he won't be in the shot, but you know she's staring at him. But she's like staring at the audience, and it makes you, the audience, kind of go like, oh, gee, oh wow, yeah, I can feel her just beaming emotions off of her. But then they'll cut to him, and man, you can just feel the emotions and how much he loves her, like coming off of him, and it'll just hold on that, so you can just feel it. But then there's other moments in here, like when stuff really starts to go down, or that's kind of weird to say because the lovey-dovey stuff actually kind of comes late in the film, and when stuff's going down is right at the beginning of this film. But yeah, like there's moments in which like she has to tell her family that she's pregnant, or even worse, she has to tell her boyfriend's family that she's pregnant, and she will have like 150 emotions on her face at once. Like, she is just going through all of them at once. And I'll admit, I think that every now and again, this lead actress, vocally, she's a little bit flat with her delivery, but it's really obvious that that was the directing, it's not her. Because you can look at all the emotions on her face, like, you're totally capable of acting. This was a directorial decision on his part. But in a weird way, sometimes that does work. Like, sometimes it did kind of bug me a little bit. But then there would be other times in which there would be like waxing philosophically, basically. They're trying to be poetic. And the kind of flatter tone that she was delivering some of these lines in actually kind of helped because it made you realize, because she would be talking about how abusive the world is to her. And it just makes you realize, man, she is just numb at this point. Like, not numb because that means that like she doesn't feel anything towards this. But it makes you realize, like, man, she is being beaten down by life. So when she isn't really showing that many emotions at moments like that, it works great. But there were a couple of other moments in there in which I was like, maybe we went like a little bit too far with the I don't want to say lack of emotions, because again, this thing is loaded with emotions, but just the softer deliveries. Every now and again, it would be a little bit of a problem for me. But yeah, they will just have like amazing conversations between characters, and a large part of it is because like every single conversation in here just cuts like a knife right to the core of every single one of these characters. One of the actual, like, it's weird that I'm going to say this is a problem for me right after I compliment it, but one of the reasons why I'm not going to give this like a perfect 10 out of 10 is because one of the best moments in this entire film, one of the best moments of any film I've ever seen, I will put that on the table right now, is like 10 to 15 minutes into this movie, and then it lasts for another like 10 minutes in there, and man, my audience was losing their shit at this moment, because it is a confrontation between the two families after she has to reveal that she's pregnant, and it is one of the most chocked full of emotions and drama moments that I have seen in any film this year. It was so good, I almost got up and left the theater then, because I was like, no, I've seen an entire movie in 10 minutes. The entire range of emotions that I could feel from a film, I felt in those 10 minutes. There was a moment in which, like, because it's a very heated conversation between characters, and there was a moment in which the mother of Fonny is just saying something to Tish that I'm not going to repeat anything that's said here, by the way. But she says something that's so cruel to Tish that someone in the back of the audience just went, woo! And none of us was like, shh. Everyone was like, yes. That's exactly how horrible that was. Like, there was a moment in which Fonny's dad says something to Fonny's mom, and I literally went, ooh, like, didn't just go, like, crossed my legs and sat up, like, ooh, I'm uncomfortable now. Like, and that is what this director is able to do so well. He is able to put you in these moments, because it felt like I was in the middle of the most awkward family conversation you have ever felt, and that's coming from someone who has been in many actual awkward family conversations. I was looking at this thing like, oh my god, this is... And like there wasn't like a moment to breathe in that entire scene. Because every single line of dialogue was a setup for an even better line of dialogue. It is one of the most gorgeous... Sorry, I don't want to rave too much about it, because I'll be here all day. Every now and again I have to stop myself and pull myself back, but I am not exaggerating when I say it is one of the best scenes in any movie I have ever seen. It's definitely one of the best scenes of any movie I've seen this year. But it was so good, I was like, oh shit. I kind of want to just leave now, because nothing is going to top this. And sure enough, nothing did top it, and that's one of the reasons why, again, I can't give this a perfect 10 out of 10, not that we're getting to my score just yet, but it was like, oh man, you really start off with a bang. And then the rest of this film is more of quiet subtlety. It's more of just like this film talking about like
how it got to that point, or
it's talking about how it got to that point, but it's also talking about just the shit that we deal with every single day. I mean, we as in the characters on there, because this is very largely about racism in the 1970s, something that I have never experienced for multiple reasons. But yeah, they are just constant. A lot of this is them just after that talking about the shit that they experience, and that stuff is really good. But again, it's rare that a movie has the best scene in the entire film 10 minutes into the movie. But after that, it's not like there aren't still amazing scenes. Because I'm not going to say what this guy was accused of. Because it is kind of a gut punch when you find out.
Will that be in the spoilers or no?
Oh, maybe I'll use in the spoilers. But they find out that the person who accused them of this crime has fled the country. And it's very obvious that the person who accused him of this, they were told by the police to accuse him. Like, there's a moment in which you meet the police officer, which I will say, they want to make the police officer evil, and mission accomplished, but he's almost kind of cartoonish to me. But I can't even give him too many points for that, because even though I talk about how amazing everybody is in here and how they're able to capture these moments and make you feel like you're right there with them, part of the way that they're able to do that is that everybody is just slightly exaggerated. Like I said, when they have these characters being in love with each other, they will hold on their faces just for like several seconds in a row, just staring out at the audience. And it's like, okay, yeah, I get you are slightly exaggerating like how much love you want to show on the screen in order to make sure the audience gets to that point. I get that. I totally get that. This movie, in many ways, actually kind of feels like it should be a play. Partly because there's a lot of scenes in here, a lot of sets that get repeated, and it feels like, okay, yeah, this feels like it could be a play that you could just go back and back. But also because everybody is just slightly exaggerated. Because in a play, everybody has to be slightly exaggerated in order to reach out there to the audience. And that's one of the reasons why the emotions in here are so effective, because they are just slightly exaggerated to the perfect amount. The cop in here, I thought they might have gone like a tad too over with him, because when he comes up to them, he comes up in like slow motion. Like, what happens is that there's a guy sexually harassing the girl in the grocery store, and then Fonnie comes up, grabs him, and throws him in the trash. And then the cop comes up to him, and he literally will just like. There's a scene in which it shows like how close he is to Fonnie, and he's this close, and it's like, all right, I'm not saying don't make him evil, definitely make him evil, but it's like he almost felt like a puppet to me at that point. Like, it felt like, okay, the rest of this felt like it was being exaggerated to the point of a play. This feels like it's being exaggerated to the point of a puppet show. But he was still, like, disgustingly evil. I gotta give him that. They accomplished what they wanted to do with that character. But basically, they find out that this person left the country, so they now have to raise the money not only for a private investigator to find this person, but also to then be able to travel to that country to find them and then convince them to come back to New York in order to testify in court for this, to say that wasn't them. And there is a moment between the two dads at a bar talking about, like, what are they going to do? Like, how are we going to raise this money? And it's just it just holds on these two having a conversation. And it is so witty and yet so heavy at the same time. Like, they're talking about, I know you know how we're going to make this money. Again, I don't want to repeat like too many of the lines because they're so good. There is one line in there that one of the dads delivers that is like just brilliant delivery. But I'm not going to spoil that. But they're just having this conversation, and man, these are two guys who have not been in the movie that much. Really, all you know about them is like who they are to each of these characters. But it says so much about their backstory in this one conversation. It says so much about their character. It fills you with hope, but also dread at the same time. It makes you understand the weight that's on them. It's amazing to me how well this director is able to capture stuff like that. There really isn't that much more to really talk about in this, because you all know the plot by now. But I will also just kind of say, I'm going to go ahead and give you my score right now. I give it a 9. And this was a solid 10 to 15 minutes into this thing. If I could give something an 11, it would be that. But as the movie went along, it's not like I was ever not enjoying myself. I was. It's just, man, you start off so freaking strong, and then you just... I'm gonna feel like an asshole no matter what on this one. Like, I'm gonna feel like an asshole.
It starts off amazing, but then it goes to great.
Great, yes.
Yes.
Because that's the thing. There's no way for me to ever describe this film and say, yeah, but it kind of dips down after that moment without making it sound like it gets bad. It doesn't. It's really damn good. It's just, you're gonna spend this entire movie kind of going, man, remember how good that one scene was? And we've got an hour and 45 minutes of this film left now. But again, it's a really great hour and 45 minutes in here. It's not like the rest of this film is like, you know, just an okay movie. It's really damn good. And there are incredible scenes in here. This film at the Oscars this year, it needs to get a Best Actress and a Best Actor nomination. But it also just needs to sweep the supporting categories. Because everybody in here, like the dad, the mom, the other mom, they all, even if they were only in one scene, they gave some of the best performances I have seen this entire year. And that's another reason why I think, yeah, this might actually really sweep the Oscars this year, because it's an actor's film. And actors vote on the Oscars. So that's typically why stuff like this really wins. But yeah, man, this was incredible. It just, you know, after a while I was kind of like, oh, are we ever going to kind of hit that high point again? And not to spoil anything, but I felt like Moonlight kind of did similar stuff in here, where it was like, we're going to just really deeply focus on this one person's personal struggle and all the stuff that society puts them through. And then at the end, it's able to give you just enough hope in there. This film, it becomes clear at a certain point, I don't think this is going to work out for anyone. And the film, and at that point I was like, this is going to have a really depressing ending. And it does have a depressing ending, but it's not like and we're going to just really just completely crush your entire soul with this ending. And there's like no real happiness at the end of it. It's more of like, yeah, that's just the way things are.
Yeah, life sucks sometimes.
Especially for the people in this film. Yeah, I mean, again, this is a film that it stops to, like, deliver a message. It is a message about, like, how fucked up the criminal justice system is, especially when dealing with young black men. And that's the message it wants to make about this. And the way that they kind of choose to do that towards the end is not by really kind of, like, stabbing you in the gut with that message. It's more of, like, this is just how a lot of people have to live because of how fucked up the system is. And I kind of feel like I would have gone back up to a 10 if they had tried to go for something really big at the end. And there is, again, they try and end on like a really poignant moment in there. And I get what they were doing with the end of this. I'll talk about it in like the spoiler part coming up, but I totally get what they were doing with the ending to this. I think it's actually really brilliant. But speaking on terms of like an emotional level, I think the emotions they wanted you to feel is like, oh, that sucks. Like, not... I don't want to describe, like, the flaws in our criminal justice system as, oh, that's a shame, man. But they want you to feel more like, this is just the way that life is for a lot of people. This is just how messed up the world is, folks. And it made me kind of think of Black Klansman.
Yeah, I was thinking that, too. It's like...
And remember how that one made you go, oh, fuck.
Yeah, it was just like such a downer, that ending.
Yeah,
so,
that movie wanted to go, oh, did you have a good time, audience? Shut the fuck up and sit down. We are not done with this. Yeah, I kept thinking about that, and I was like, yeah, man, I kind of wish they had done something like that in this film, so that way I would have left the audience like, oh, fuck. Instead, I left it just kind of numb, because that's kind of what the movie wants you to leave as. It wants you to leave kind of feeling numb, because it's like, yeah, is that kind of how it feels to be beaten down? Yeah, well, now you know what it's like. And it's like, yeah, I'd rather you made me leave mad. Like I want to go out there and do some shit. Mm-hmm. And don't get me wrong, again, that makes it sound like this movie just makes you not care. It makes you care, but it makes you also understand that feeling of, this is just how fucked up life is. And I kind of wish it had gone for more of a big bang there at the end of this. So that's why, like, if it had given me, like, a little bit of hope, like Moonlight did, even if it was, like, a little bit of hope, that would have been, like, to paraphrase an old Eddie Murphy routine, it would be like giving a starving man a saltine. It would be the greatest thing he's ever eaten. But if it didn't want to do that, which I totally understand why it would not want to do that, I kind of wish it had just gone, like, really dark.
So it had to go, like, either one way or the other,
Yeah,
basically.
and instead they wanted to go down the middle, and I totally understand why they wanted to go down the middle with this. Because they wanted to, like, turn to the audience, and unlike with Black Klansman, where they were like, get mad and go out there and throw a trash can through a pizzeria. They wanted, Spike Lee fans will know what I'm talking about. This film wanted you to go, you know that kind of, like, just beaten down, empty feeling that you're feeling inside, that, like, you feel like you got a hole inside of you and it just kind of sucks? That's what it's like for many people out there, and that's mission accomplished. But yeah, I kind of just wish that I had kind of gone one direction or the other instead. But speaking in terms of, like, the artsy perspective on this, I get it. I get why they went that direction with this. So yeah, that's why I'm giving this a 9. But man, I really want to go higher with it, but I gotta stick with a 9. Okay, spoiler time. Basically, they go down to Puerto Rico, which is where the woman who accused him of a crime went. And finally, they're able to meet them, which I think is it Regina King who plays her mom? Is that who? Yeah, it's Regina King. Which again, man, if she doesn't get a Best Supporting nomination, I don't know who will. She finds her, and she's trying to convince her, it's like, it wasn't him. But here's the thing, you're expecting her to confront her at that moment, and she's just going to be like, listen, I can't go back. You don't understand. The police won't let me go back. But she's just like, no, it was him. It's like, no, we, meaning me, the mother-in-law, and also the audience out there knows it was not him. So you really do, like, I mean, that's how stories go. You know you have to have this turnaround, and I mean, man, it's, again, this is one of those things where it's like, no, man, this wants to just turn to me like, it's like life. This is kind of just what happens. He's like, no, it was him. There's only, like, one line that she gives that makes you think, like, oh, it wasn't him. She was put up to this. She said, they took me down there, and they told me to pick him out. They told me to pick him out. And I was like, speaking of the lineup, of course, and it's like that one line, which again, talking about how just like they are able to capture like the perfect emotion on every single word. Like everybody emotes just the right word and everything in this. That's like the one line that makes you go, oh, the police said it's him, like forced her to say that. But she, at the same time, something very tragic did happen to her. And she is, like, you can tell she's convinced herself it was him. Even though we, the audience, know it was not him. And that's one of those situations where you're like, well, I don't know what the answer to this is. And that's what this movie is. This movie is turning you and you go, there's no answer. Life's just fucked up, man. That's, yeah, and that's why I'm like, I understand why you want to do that, but man, I'm never watching this again. I'll watch that opening 10 to 15 minutes of this again. But there's also, like, just to kind of, like, drive home how messed up the world is. Like, this is someone who, I'll go ahead and say what it was. She was sexually assaulted. The mother, she's like, please, just, daughter, do it for God. She puts a hand there and, like, to, like, the cross her neck and she goes, don't tell. And, like, she starts, like, having a panic down. And then she just starts screaming and curling up in a ball and screaming her lungs out. And, like, her friends come up and, like, drag her away. And it's like, don't ever come back to us again. And the mom's there, and, like, you can just see it on her face. Like, that was the one possible chance that we had to get him out of prison, and I blew it. But the audience knows at home, like, there was nothing that could be done on this. Like, she wasn't going to help at all. But, yeah, like, you trying to, like, man, it's that moment that in any other film, it would have been like, she would, like, stop and, like, thought, like, okay, fine, I'll go back to New York, and I'll tell them the truth. No, man, this was more realistic in terms of, like, shoot, man, it's, remember, this person here who we just met in this scene for the very first time, they've got their own story going on, their own life, and they're incredibly just destroyed right now. Yeah, man, this movie, it makes you feel like everybody in here has weight to them.
So, what happened to the baby?
The baby was born, and after the baby is born, it then cuts ahead by like 7 years. And basically they say that they're talking about how you gotta do whatever you can in life. And that's what Fonny did, because Fonny ended up taking a plea bargain. And he's still in prison now for a crime that he didn't commit. But at the end of this thing, the son and the mother go and visit him in prison, and they have all these snacks that they brought for him to eat. And he says he's starving and he's about to eat one, and then the little boy says, "We have to say grace." And he's like, "We do?" And then then the dad's like, "Okay." And then he holds hands with his wife and holds hands with his son, and then the son just says grace over this at this table in prison. You look like you're about to cry right now, and you didn't even see this movie. With these vending machine snacks between them, and they say grace, and I was like, I get what you're trying to do with this. You're trying to say this is family for a lot of people because of how fucked up the system is. It's that this is their dining room table, and this is them saying grace before they dine in.
This is their dinner time together.
Yeah, and it's man, it is just soul crushing. But again, the movie, and then there's just that beat of silence after they say that, and the kid goes back to coloring, and the dad's just staring at the mom there, and just total silence, and then it just goes out, and it's yeah, this movie, it really the fact that that's how it ended, it really did feel like they were just turning to me as you can't, what you got, not it's not saying don't do anything, but it does have this feeling of this is just how bad the world sucks, and that's the kind of feeling that it gave you. There are no additional words to say to that. The world just really sucks. That's what that, moment of silence kind of felt to me at the end of all this. That moment of silence was there for you to just kind of, just go, oh, fuck, man. God damn it. So, yeah, but at the same time, even though I say, I think BlacKkKlansman did, that kind of an ending, way better, that's just for me. I know there's going to be a lot of other people out there who are going to say, BlacKkKlansman went way too far. This one, it has a way more, just hits you right in the heart kind of thing. And that's going to be the thing that makes people, want to do something to change all this. I'm always kind of lean more towards the, no, I want the movie to, hand me my pitchfork after it. If the movie wants me to go out there and change the world, I want the movie to, hand me, a torch and tell me, go and protest right there. So, yeah, I'm a little bit more, I'm a little bit less subtle when it comes to my, listen, man, if I'm angry about a thing, I don't want the movie to make me just feel like I'm beat down so nothing matters in life, so fuck it. I want the movie to make me feel yeah, get really mad about this.
Get riled up.
You should be mad about this. I kind of like that stuff a little bit more. So that's just me speaking personally. But again, I've seen other critics out there who said the ending to BlacKkKlansman was awful because it went too far.
It's either a gut punch or a heartstring tug.
Yeah.
There's no in between.
Yeah, exactly. So it's I can fully understand other people out there thinking I'm crazy for thinking BlacKkKlansman did it better. Yeah, I totally understand why a lot of other people would like this way more than that. But yeah, I still think this is a stunning film. And when one of the worst things I can say about a film is that it did exactly what it wanted to do, and it just had not the impact that I wanted to have on me. Or the other negative thing that I can say about the film is just the fact that it was way too good in the beginning and the rest of it couldn't live up to that. Yeah, man, those aren't really negatives. But yeah, I highly recommend this. I think this thing is going to just sweep the freaking Oscars. Or Green Book, which I don't think I'm going to have time to see. So I'm hoping this is the one that sweeps it so that I can win in all my Oscar polls. Or who knows? What if there's just a crazy surprise and Into the Spider-Verse just wins everything? It's not going to happen, but it'd be amazing. I could use a little I really want to watch Into the Spider-Verse again, right after I saw this.
You just need a pick-me-up.
I need something. I need John Mulaney as a ham, as a walking pig. I want to see Miles hugging his dad, telling him that he loves him. That's a copy. Remember that? Remember fun? That needs to come out on demand real quick, because I don't want to have to go back out into the cold to watch that again. Alright, everyone, we will be back on Monday with more of the regular Quest for the Best, and of course, the Gauntlet of Garbage, where we look at all the worst films of the previous year. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Come back next time.
Bye.